All right, welcome everyone. It's so good to see everybody's face. Thanks so much for hopping on our team call tonight. So tonight we are talking about dealing with comparison, which I feel like everybody's like, yep, I've done that for sure. I've been there. I know I personally have been there. So we will dive in. But first, I want to open it up to anyone who has something they want to share from the week. Just tell me something good, plexus or non-plexus. Someone just share something good from this week, last week. You can just unmute and share it with everybody.
I'm excited. I signed up an 80-year-old woman this week. I used to do laundry when I was in college at her house. So that's the last time I had ever spoken to her. So she said, I've been watching you for an entire year, and I know I never said anything on your post or anything. So be encouraged. You have people watching you that you don't even know. And she's like, I'm all about gut health. And I'm like, that's incredible. I know she's on Facebook and she's 80. Yes. So
Yep.
she's so excited. So don't be discouraged when you feel like people aren't saying anything on your posts. There might be someone watching who just calls you on the phone and says, I want to sign up.
Yep. And never prejudge anyone for their age, right? You are never too old to get help.
Adam just texted me.
Oh, I don't know where he's at, but yeah, don't prejudge based on age, right? No one's ever too old to want to improve their health. Like, she wants to feel better, and that's awesome. And mom, you got her in a group chat with me, even though she's 80, she still put her in a group chat. So I love it. That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. Who else has something from this week?
Mine's not plexus related, but
That's okay.
I found out today that my husband will be here when the baby's born, because there was a small chance he wasn't going to be here. So I'm like, okay, we're good.
Oh my goodness, that's insanely important. So that's awesome news.
Yay!
That's so great, Kristen. That's amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. Anybody else? Something good from the past week? All right. All right, then we will dive in. Okay, so dealing with comparison. So it is the end of the month, right? Tomorrow, right? Today's the 30th. So yeah, tomorrow's the last day of the month. So with that comes a lot of celebration, right? Like people reaching goals. It's the end of success sprint. So there's prizes flying and all of that is like super exciting. And we love to celebrate, right? Like we celebrate everything. You can shout out anyone on your team or shout out yourself for any reason at any time, because we think celebration is super important, and noticing all the things like business things and non-business things, even just consistency, should be celebrated and shouted out. But a lot of times the end of the month also can be like a struggle. If you are watching other people on the team who maybe like this is their time when they are zooming, they are ranking up, they are seeing all this growth, but maybe this isn't your time. I know I've had end of the months where I'm like, man, this feels like a bummer. Like I'm not ranking up. I'm not reaching my goals. I've missed my goals for the past 4 months, and it can be really, really hard. So has anyone experienced like that comparison? Just raise your hand if you have felt that at some point along your plexus journey. Yes, like everybody, right? And I'm raising my hand. And it's something that continually creeps up. And I think is super important for us to talk about and just realize that it's totally normal, but there are some things that we can be aware of to help like combat that negative comparison, because comparison can be really good and helpful, or it can be very destructive, and it can kind of get us on a self-destructive downward spiral. So I'll just share my story a little bit, and I asked Kristen Thornton to share too, so I'll let her share in a sec. But if you guys have sideline partners, it's an amazing thing, right? So you sidelines from a different team or just someone who's not above or below you, but just like sideline to you. It can be super fun and encouraging to like run with somebody and share ideas and stuff. So my sideline partner for a long time has been Allie Sullivan. And when we first started like being sideline partners, it was exciting and great. And then she started to kind of creep ahead of me. She was moving a little faster than I was moving. And while I was happy for her, I also felt this comparison. And I was constantly like, well, looking at her team, like looking at my team, and well, I want to be Amber's primary leg. Like it was very hard. And she hit Emerald a couple of months before I did. And I just remember thinking like, I'll never get there. And while I was happy for her, it really became like a thing. And I ended up pulling away, not from my relationship with Allie, but from that sideline partnership with Allie because I felt threatened or whatever. And I didn't like realize all this at the time, but looking back, I think I felt a little bit of jealousy, although I was happy for her. I kind of wished it was me. And reflecting back on that, what I wish I would have done is asked questions and learned from her. Like one of the key things you can do when you are looking at someone who's on a similar path as you are and they start to pull ahead is to follow what they're doing or ask like, what are you doing? How can I grow? Like be happy for them and also learn from them. And I wished I would have done that because I know it would have benefited me in my journey. And even if it didn't accelerate, a rank up, it would have been good for me in a personal growth sense. So I eventually got to that point. And now I am a fly on the wall on Allie's team page, and she's a fly on the wall on our team page because we have totally different strengths, polar opposite personalities. So we've been able to help each other and like points fluctuate. So sometimes I'm a little ahead of her, sometimes she's a little ahead of me. But recognizing that it's really like a scarcity mindset instead of an abundance mindset, right? That I need to be happy for someone when they are pulling ahead, and not every month is going to be your month. There's going to be months where you are cranking through, you're adding tons of people and having an amazing month. And there's just other times when it's not, and that's okay. Consistency. And like, we keep coming back to this. This has been like the theme for the past month. Consistency is so important because we're going to have these ebbs and flows. So I want to let Kristen share to like her story a little bit. I just have really loved watching her the past couple months and seeing a huge shift. So I asked her if she would just share a little bit of that process with us.
Thanks, Brittany. I'm kind of going to piggyback off of that in a way. But I wanted to first mention, and I mentioned this to Victoria, I think last year sometime, that at the end of the month, when I was seeing all these other promotions and like all these people ranking up and being like winning all these prizes, I was actually getting mad. Like I was getting upset and angry. And instead of celebrating them, instead of commenting on their things and being like, wow, this is so great, congratulations, I would instead like not say anything. I would scroll right past it. And it was just like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Like, that's not being a nice person, like in myself. So for me, it's been more of like a personal growth journey. Because I realized, everybody's story looks completely different, and comparison only slows you down. It's easy to compare yourself to other people when you're not being honest with yourself. And for me, I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't doing the work that I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't doing the reach outs. I wasn't doing, the stuff that takes consistency and takes time to really implement and stuff. I wasn't doing it. I was just kind of hoping and praying, and it wasn't getting anywhere. And then I would get mad, and I would get mad at other people instead of being mad at myself. So like I had this switch a couple months ago where I was just like, why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. And it's funny because when Brittany brought up sideline people, I actually reached out to Nicole on our team because I feel like she's kind of the person, I guess, that I'm sidelined with. And she was adding like crazy, and she started after me. So I felt like I should be like higher ranked than her or have more people on my team than her. But I actually just reached out to her for help and asked her what she was doing and how she was doing it, just to learn from her instead of being mad about it. So that was a huge shift for me, but I also shifted my mindset into, this is a business, and what do I want my business to look like? I don't want it to look like a hobby, which is exactly what it was for me at the time. So for me, As far as like ranks and stuff go, my journey with that, I was actually shooting for senior gold last June when we had that huge explosion. But for then it was like this huge goal where I was like 35 some orders away. Like I was just shooting for it to see if it would happen. But that's after we added like 20 some people to my team that month. So I wasn't necessarily discouraged. I was just like, holy crap, we have all these new people. So I started to celebrate it a little bit more. And even last month when I didn't hit it, we were still only like 10 or 12 orders away from it. But our processes were different. And my team was behind me. You know, we were doing all the things, we were motivating, we were inspiring each other, you know, we were working together. And even this month, being 2 away from it, I'm still realizing that I have to celebrate it more, even if I don't hit it, because even this month we've added 13 people so far. Like, and that's a number I thought I would never see in my back office when I first started, you know, but we're communicating more, we're getting more involved, and we're getting our people more involved. And what I've learned, and the hardest thing to learn, is a rank is just a rank. And you'll hear this from a lot of other leaders too, that if you focus on the rank instead of the little things along the way, you will be discouraged a lot more and you won't enjoy the process as much. And you want to enjoy it. You want to enjoy what you're doing, and you want to enjoy watching other people do it too. And for me, I've felt like a senior gold ambassador for a long time, even though my back office says gold. You know, I felt like I've been doing things that senior gold ambassadors do, even though it doesn't say that. But there's also things that I want to start implementing as a senior ambassador or a senior gold ambassador. So it doesn't matter what your back office says. It's how you run your business. It's how you feel about it. It's how you mentally grow as your team grows, you know, learning to adjust as they adjust and learning to celebrate everything, because that's how you really truly enjoy the journey instead of comparing every single little thing to someone else who's on a completely different journey than you. And I just remember like before watching like diamonds, like on Instagram, like Emily Roberts and Celeste Glenn, who's like a double diamond. They add like hundreds and thousands of new ambassadors a month. And I'm like, gosh, I'll never reach that. Instead of like looking at my team and being like, gosh, we added 24 people in a month. Like that is literally a number I thought I would never see. So you'll hear this too, like, don't compare yourself to their chapter. Like for me, I'm like on chapter 2, whereas they're on like chapter 20. So that's just kind of been my journey. It's been more looking at myself and what I'm doing and my personal growth, and you know, celebrating things instead of being angry or discouraged, because you will reach your goals, and it just may be a thing of, you know, the time may look a little different than what you had hoped, but you'll still get there. So that's all I have to share. That's all I had.
That's perfect, Kristen. Thanks so much. It's really helpful to hear other people's stories because, like she said, no one else is going to have the same exact journey. It's not going to be the same time frame. You know, it's not going to be the same speed. There's different people. You know, some people fly to, you know, Emerald or Diamond with just 5 or 6 people on their team. Others need to add, you know, 500 people on their team. Like everybody's journey is going to be different. But I think that shift from like a hobby mindset to a career mindset is really key. Like you just decided to do the things consistently, regardless of what was going on around and regardless of where your current points were, right? Like the rank up is not the measure of success. The showing up every day, that's the measure of success, right? That's the thing you can look at and said, I have been successful this day. So I think redefining what success is in a month is really important. It's not just points. It's not just new joins. It's, did I show up? You know, and was I fulfilling my calling, the things I know I need to do for this business, for my team? So I totally love that. I refreshed myself on a Bob Heilig podcast about fixed versus growth mindset, because I think it really comes down, like this comparison is a fixed mindset. So I'm going to dive into this a little bit, and then we're going to do a whole other team call on growth mindset. But I love the example he gave about ebbs and flows in business. So, we just want to be like increase every month, like increase, more, like I want to see more points every single month. And the fact is, like, that's not how it works. You're going to have ebbs and flows, dips and, mountains and valleys. And he gives the example of like Amazon, right? So in the fourth quarter of the year, Christmas, all of that, Amazon has killer sales, right? Like their sales are through the roof. He's like, do you think that on December 27th, that Amazon is doubting their ability to, do the work they want to do because it's the number one return day of the year? So they gain tons of returns and their sales from the previous week have plummeted. No, they know it's normal ebbs and flows. They know that the first quarter of a year is going to look nothing like the last quarter of the year, because the last quarter is their busy time and the first quarter is their slow time. And you just know that and you expect it because there's ebbs and flows. The hard thing with our business is it's unpredictable when the ebbs and flows are going to happen, right? You just don't know. We didn't know that June of last year was going to be the best month of the year. No idea. So it's a little unpredictable, but we can be prepared that when we're growing like crazy, we can celebrate it. And when things die down, that's the time to really dig in and focus on your team. So that if you add 5 people on your team, don't say, oh, we only added 5. Get to know them, right? You have extra time because it wasn't a crazy month. Get to know those 5 people. Like we need to learn to like really dig into wherever our team is at. If it's a busy month, awesome. Like ride that momentum, get everyone excited. If it's not, exactly, lean in and spend more time doing those things that we don't always have time to do. So career mindset is huge. And with that comes not starting and stopping, because really the path to keep going is just to plug away and not start and stop. So that all has to do with career mindset. And we have our habit reset group starting later this week, which is going to be great for that. If you just feel like, man, what are the little consistent things I need to do? It's going to be all about that. But circling back to this idea of fixed mindset versus growth, like here is how you know where you're at. Okay. A growth mindset has a passion for growth. A fixed mindset has hunger for approval. And that is like, whoa, like when you feel like you're comparing or, you're bummed out that you didn't hit something, is it because you have a passion for growth or is it because you have a hunger for approval? I think a lot of times we fall into that fixed mindset of just wanting the approval. For me, the clue was, am I happy for the person who's winning, for the person who's running, or am I resentful? Am I thinking things like, oh, must be nice for them, or, oh, they got lucky, or, well, I don't have a runner, right? Like everybody's been there. We all struggle with this stuff, right? Like it feels shameful to say it out loud, but it's so true. That's all fixed mindset. That's focusing only on the goal and not on the growth. So growth mindset, what happens when we fail, right? Because I have failed. I have not hit Emerald August, September, October, November, December, January, 6 months, didn't hit Emerald. Just hit it today for the first time since June. So I'm really pumped. Thank you. Really pumped. It's you guys, it's not me. But so what is, like, that was failure, right? I wanted to hit Emerald every month. I failed for 6 months, right? Do you look at that as I didn't reach my goal, so I'm going to make adjustments and continue working towards that goal? Or do you see it as I'm a failure? A fixed mindset looks at failure and says, I'm a failure, right? And that's not the case. Failure doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you have an opportunity to pivot, to change, and to grow. The only way to be successful is to fail a ton of times. That is literally the recipe to be successful, is to be okay and to just be fine with failing and failing and failing. That is how we grow. So when we're looking at comparison, when you find yourself comparing to someone else, here is healthy comparison. You are inspired. So let's go back to like me and Allie, right? Allie hits Emerald. I'm still on the struggle bus. Am I inspired by her? Am I asking questions? What are you doing? How did you get there? Like, what is your team doing? Am I genuinely happy for them? Or is it like this resentful kind of happy? Am I genuinely happy? And am I looking at myself to say, how can I improve to reach my goal? That's healthy comparison. Unhealthy comparison is I feel defeated. I see Allie hit emerald and I'm just totally defeated. I just want to give up, right? I'm not even going to keep pushing for emeralds. So I'm done. Am I judging them, right? Things like lucky for you, must be nice, all those judgy kind of thoughts that we have. It's hard to be happy and we think I'll never get there. That's a unhealthy comparison. And all of that is really just a fixed mindset. So when we focus on the result, the rank, the points, the number of new joins, and we obsess over it and we get super upset when it doesn't happen, that's fixed. When we focus on the process, that's growth, right? Because then I'm not overly emotionally attached to the result. I set a goal. If we hit it, I am happy. We celebrate, we're huge on celebration. But if I don't, I'm not seeing myself as a failure. I'm not seeing myself as less than, the person who hit it. I celebrate the process and I pivot and learn and let that failure teach me something so that then I can move on and be successful next time. The one thing I love too, and you guys I can send the podcast, it's an old one actually, but I can send the number in our chat. He says, we aren't human beings, we are human becomings. And I was like, oh, that's good. We're not stuck. I seriously want to make this like a bad word that we don't say, because I hear it all the time from people who aren't stuck. Okay. Like, I'm stuck. I'm like, no, you're not. So we are not trees, right? You are not a tree. And I've heard Cheryl Muller say this, and I've heard other people. You are not stuck. You are not a tree. You have the ability to move. You have the ability to pivot. You are not stuck. You're a human becoming. We are all moving in one direction. And it is up to us whether we're going to move on a growth trajectory where we are learning from failure, or if we are going to stay fixed. We're not stuck, but we can get fixed where we are, but it's a choice. Okay. So I've been playing that in my head. You are not a tree. You are not a tree. You are not stuck. Stuck is now a bad word that you are not allowed to say. And if you say it, you're going to have to put money in the cuss jar. Exactly like Victoria said. So I hope that's helpful. I think, especially at the end of the month, this is just a time where comparison is natural. I think it's okay to feel those feelings of it was a great month, it wasn't a great month, but let's just be mindful of our mindset around that and own it. If you feel like, okay, I do have a fixed mindset, I do have a scarcity mindset, it's fine. You can actually change these things. Like, we can change our thought process and it is going to propel you in the right direction instead of keeping you in this negative, place that we sometimes are. So I will stop there. Are there any questions, or does anyone have other thoughts or want to share times that you've dealt with this comparison?
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
First of all, I love this stuff. I geek out over this stuff. And I think Danielle's on this call. This is teacher stuff that anyway. But what I wanted to say, just like how you said at the end here with, if you're just being mindful about how you're feeling, our brains are going to want to shift back to that fixed mindset because our primitive brains are designed to keep us safe. So they want to, they want us to stay safe. They want us to, not continue to grow, right? And just stay in our little bubble. So know that it's okay if you are having those thoughts, but just like Brittany said, be mindful and then know okay, I need to shift my thinking in this way. I need to, as Kristen said, focus on the growth. Because it's constantly going to be happening. I still do it. It's not like you're just, oh, I have a growth mindset forever now and not a fixed mindset. No, it's something that you have to work on every single day. Similarly to IPA, right? Consistency, but also listening to something that's going to fuel your brain and fuel that growth mindset.
Yeah, that's so good. And just being aware of your thoughts and realizing that you are not your thoughts, you are the thinker of your thoughts, right? So we sometimes like identify as whatever's going on up here, like that's who I am. No, like you have the ability to stop that and change it. And that's really where like behavior and habits and stuff come from. It starts in our minds. And if we can learn to like redirect this up here, it really changes all of our behavior, our habits, everything that we do. It all starts in our mind. So yes, that is super good. Anyone else have another thought, a final thought?
I love that you said, you know, don't, you were talking about like having a bad month, but what Bob highlights says is like, you know, it was just a month and
Right.
just move on from there. You don't have to like put labels on it, but you can just do better
Right.
next month, something to grow on.
Yes, that's right. He says it's not a bad month. Like, why are you calling it bad? Like, it wasn't a
Yeah.
bad, just a month, right? Exactly. And guys, if you get overly attached to your points, guess what happens the first day of every month? What do they go back to?
0.
0. And the more you grow, the more alarming that is in the beginning of the month, right? Because you go from like whatever to 0. That's okay, right? You're not emotionally attached to the results of your business. It's your business and you know what to do and you do the thing. So yeah, that's super good. Well, thank you, Kristen, so much, like being vulnerable and sharing. I really appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for hopping on. All right, have a great night.